listen to me. I need you to hear me with your heart, not your ears. Success ain't about money. It's not about cars. It's not about the house with the pool or the watch with the diamonds. If that's what you're chasing, you already lost. You think success is what's in your bank account? No, it's what's in your spirit, what's in your grind, what's in your discipline, your character, your hustle. Success is who you become, not what you collect. That's a truth that goes way deeper than most people realize. In a world that constantly measures worth by what you own, what you drive, or how many followers you've got, it's easy to get caught up in the illusion that material things define your value. But real success, the kind that lasts, the kind that impacts, the kind that fulfills, has nothing to do with what you collect and everything to do with who you are becoming in the process. See, the world will try to convince you that if you get the bag, you've won. That if you live in a mansion, wear designer clothes, and post luxury vacations, you're successful. But I've met people who had all of that and were still empty. I've seen millionaires with no peace, no purpose, no joy. Because when you base your identity on possessions, your value rises and falls with the economy. But when you base your identity on growth, on resilience, on the person you're building day by day, no one can take that away from you. Who you become is your real resume, your integrity, your discipline, your ability to keep going when life hits you hard. That's success. It's waking up every day and becoming 1% better, even if nobody sees it, even if nobody claps. It's saying no to distractions, yes to the grind, and trusting that every small decision is shaping the future version of you. That person, that strong, focused, committed version of you is more valuable than any car or bank account. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying money doesn't matter. We all need to eat, to live, to take care of our families. But money is a tool. It's not the goal. The goal is to become the type of person who uses money to create impact, not just lifestyle. If you don't build the right mindset, money will magnify your flaws. But if you grow, if you develop character, money becomes a weapon for good. Think about the process it takes to become someone who is truly successful. It's uncomfortable. It's slow. You're going to fail. You're going to have to work in silence while the world watches someone flash their wealth online and calls them successful. And in those moments, you got to remind yourself, this journey is not about what I'm collecting. It's about who I'm becoming. Let me give it to you straight. The process will expose you before it elevates you. It will test your patience, your focus, your faith, but the test is part of the transformation. You can't skip that. You can't shortcut character. You can't Amazon Prime greatness. You've got to build it brick by brick. And every time you show up tired, every time you push through fear, every time you choose integrity over the easy way out, you are stacking wins in the most important bank account there is, the one inside you. And here's the secret most people don't talk about. When you become the right person, the stuff starts to show up anyway. The opportunities come, the relationships align, the money flows, not because you chased it, but because you were ready for it. And when you're truly ready, you don't just get success, you sustain it. Because you're not depending on things to validate you. You're already validated by the work you've put in and the person you become. So let everybody else chase stuff. Let them post, flex, and measure their life by the outside. But you focus on the inside. Focus on growth, mindset, sacrifice, and becoming the version of you that even your future self will look at and say, you did it right. Remember, the cars will rust, the clothes will go out of style, the likes will fade, but who you are, that lasts forever. And that's why success, real success, is never about what you collect. It's about what you build inside. If the grind ain't in you, the stuff won't save you. That line isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a reality check. Too many people think that if they just have more money, more access, more things, they finally feel successful. finally feel powerful. But the truth is, if you don't have the drive, the discipline, and the deep down hunger to push through the hard days, then no amount of money or stuff can fill that gap. You'll still feel stuck. You'll still feel unfulfilled. You'll still break under pressure because you never built the muscle to hold what you were chasing. Look at people who get handed success. The lottery winners, the overnight stars, the trust fund babies. A lot of them lose it all. Not because they're bad people, but because they didn't build the grind required to sustain it. They didn't earn the calluses, the scars, the lessons that come with the journey. And when you skip the journey, you skip the development. So when life gets real, and it always gets real, they don't have the internal strength to stand. They got the stuff, but they're empty inside. The grind is what makes you solid. It's what teaches you patience, humility, and grit. When you're grinding, you're learning how to show up when you don't feel like it. You're building focus. You're training your mind to keep going even when nothing around you looks like progress. And that kind of strength, it doesn't come from comfort. It comes from struggle. It comes from failure. It comes from waking up early when everyone else is sleeping, from working when it's boring, from choosing discipline when distraction looks way more fun. The truth is, the grind is the blessing. People want the reward without the work, the shine without the struggle. But the grind is what prepares you for the life you say you want. It molds your character. It forces you to grow. And without it, you might get the success, but it won't last. You fumble the opportunity. You crumble under the weight of it because you never develop the stamina it takes to carry success, to protect it, to multiply it. This is why the second you remove the grind from the equation, you lose the foundation. The foundation of real success isn't built on things. It's built on who you become through the grind. If you want to win long term, you got to fall in love with that process. Not just when it's exciting, but when it's mundane. Not just when people are watching, but when nobody cares. That's where the real work happens. That's where greatness is born. So you got to ask yourself, do you want the image of success or the strength to actually live it? Because if you don't have the grind in you, all the stuff in the world won't save you when life gets hard. You'll need something deeper. And that something only comes from showing up every day and putting in the reps, whether you feel like it or not. Let me make it plain. The grind isn't optional. It's essential. It's not punishment. It's preparation. And when the grind becomes a part of who you are, when it's in your DNA, you stop chasing things and start attracting them. Not because you're lucky, but because you're ready. Ready to hold the weight. Ready to handle the pressure. Ready to lead, to endure, to thrive. That's the power of the grind. It gives you what money can't. Mental toughness, self-respect, resilience. And that's why the grind will always be more valuable than any material thing you could ever collect. Because when the grind is in you, you can lose it all and still come back stronger. You can rebuild, you can adapt. You can outlast anything. So don't wait for the stuff to make you feel successful. Build the grind. Become the kind of person who doesn't need the stuff to feel powerful, because you know the power is already in you. And that's the real win. The process is the prize. That's a truth most people don't understand, especially in a culture obsessed with results. We've been conditioned to celebrate the outcome, the trophy, the title, the money in the bank. But we forget that the real reward is who you become on the way to that outcome. Everyone wants to win, but very few want to embrace what it actually takes to get there. They want the destination, but they despise the journey. And that's why so many people quit before they ever see results, because they never saw value in the process itself. When you start to love the process, everything changes. You stop being so desperate for the quick win. You stop needing external validation. Instead, you start showing up every day with focus and intention, because you understand that every rep, every step, every early morning and late night is doing something inside you. It's developing your habits. It's shaping your mindset. It's strengthening your resolve. The process is where the real transformation happens. Most people think success is an event, something that happens once you hit a goal. But real success is a lifestyle. It's found in the repetition. It's hidden in those small unseen moments when you choose to keep going. It's when you show up on the days you don't feel like it. It's when you stick to the plan, even though no one's clapping for you. Those moments might look boring or ordinary, but they're sacred. That's the grind that builds greatness. See, the process humbles you. It strips away ego. It shows you how far you have to go while simultaneously reminding you how far you've come. And that tension, that uncomfortable space between where you are and where you want to be is where character is forged. That's where your grit is tested. That's where you prove to yourself that you're not just chasing success for applause or approval, but because this is who you are. This is what you do. This is what you're built for. When you commit to the process, you're not just preparing for success, you're becoming someone who can handle it. Anybody can get lucky once, but staying consistent, that takes maturity. That takes discipline. It takes the ability to do the right thing over and over again, long after the motivation is gone, because motivation fades, but process builds momentum. And momentum is what keeps you moving even when things get hard. Because once you've walked through the fire, nobody can tell you that you didn't earn it. You don't owe anyone an explanation. The process made you bulletproof. That's why you got to flip your mindset. Stop chasing the prize and start embracing the process. Make peace with the pace. Make peace with the silence. Make peace with the setbacks. Because all of it is working for you. All of it is preparing you for what you asked for. You said you wanted greatness. This is what it costs. And when you finally reach that goal, you'll realize something powerful. It was never just about the destination. It was about who you became along the way, the mindset you built, the faith you developed, the discipline you forged. That's the real prize. The title is just a bonus. The money, the fame, the applause, those are side effects. The true reward is that you showed up for yourself when no one else did. So don't run from the process. Respect it, trust it, love it, because the process is where your power is born. The process is the prize. You don't need more money, you need more mindset. That right there is the dividing line between people who grow and people who stay stuck. Most people believe that if they just had more money, their problems would disappear. They think more income will solve what discipline can't. They believe money will give them freedom, when in reality, without the right mindset, money only magnifies what's already broken. What you really need isn't more cash in your pocket, it's a shift in your perspective. Because your mindset determines how you see obstacles, how you respond to setbacks, and how you handle the blessings when they come. Money might open doors, but it won't keep you in the room. Mindset does that. Your thinking, your beliefs, your habits, those are the real keys. You could take someone with a weak mindset and give them $1 million and they'll find a way to lose it. But take someone with a strong, focused, growth-oriented mindset and they can start with nothing and build it all. Because they've trained their mind to see opportunities where others see problems. They've trained themselves to stay calm under pressure. They've learned to value process over payoff. The problem is never the resources, it's the resourcefulness. You're sitting on potential right now, but your mind won't let you access it. You keep saying, if I just had the right connection, if I had more time, more money, more luck, but you don't need external permission to grow. What you need is to challenge your own thinking. The limits you believe in aren't out there, they're in here. Inside your head, inside the story you keep telling yourself about why you can't make it, why it's harder for you, why it's taking so long. Everything changes when you change the way you think. When you go from a victim mindset to a victory mindset. When you stop focusing on what you lack and start maximizing what you have. That shift alone can take you from stuck to unstoppable. Because now, instead of waiting for opportunity, you create it. Instead of waiting for motivation, you move with discipline. Instead of blaming your circumstances, you take full ownership of your outcome. Think about the most successful people you admire. Yes, some of them have money now, but that's not what made them successful. What made them successful was how they thought before the money came. They thought different. They approached problems with curiosity instead of panic. They invested in learning before earning. They acted with courage before comfort. That's mindset. That's what set them apart. And the best part, you don't have to be born with it. You can build it. You can rewire how you think by what you consume, who you surround yourself with, and how you speak to yourself. You can train your mind to focus on solutions instead of excuses. You can teach yourself to see every setback as a setup. But that only happens when you stop trying to buy your way into success and start building your way into it from the inside out. Here's the hard truth. If you had everything you're asking for right now without the mindset to manage it, you'd lose it. You'd sabotage it. You'd be overwhelmed by it because you haven't built the inner infrastructure to support that level of success. And that's why mindset comes first. Mindset is what prepares you for the level you're trying to reach. It shapes your decisions, your habits, your confidence, and your ability to adapt under pressure. People think mindset is soft, that it's just positive thinking or good vibes. No, it's war. It's the daily battle between fear and faith, between doubt and discipline, between comfort and calling. Your mindset is your mental armor. It's what keeps you moving when everything in your life says stop. And if you can win the war in your mind, everything else follows. So before you go looking for more money, stop and ask yourself, have I mastered my mind? Have I trained my thoughts to align with my goals? Am I the kind of person who can handle the weight of the life I'm asking for? Because when your mindset is right, your circumstances can't stop you. Your setbacks can't break you. And your bank account doesn't define you. You don't need more money, you need more mindset. And once you have that, everything else becomes possible. Success starts when the excuses stop. That may sound harsh, but it's one of the most freeing truths you'll ever embrace. As long as you keep giving yourself a reason to wait, a reason to hesitate, or a reason to justify where you are, you will stay stuck. Excuses feel comfortable. They make you feel safe. They let you off the hook, but they also rob you of power. Every excuse you make is another chain holding you back from your full potential. You might think you're protecting yourself, but really you're just delaying your breakthrough. We all have reasons to stop, reasons to slow down, reasons why it's not the right time. Maybe you didn't grow up with resources. Maybe you don't have support. Maybe you failed more times than you can count. That's real, but it's not a life sentence. There comes a moment when you have to decide, am I going to let my story define me, or am I going to redefine my story? That shift starts when you take ownership. Ownership of your choices, ownership of your habits, ownership of the outcomes in your life. People love to talk about accountability until it's time to look in the mirror. But that's where it all begins. You've got to get brutally honest with yourself. Not in a way that beats you down, but in a way that calls you up. Are you doing what you said you do? Are you waking up early because you said you wanted discipline? Are you putting in the work, or are you just talking about it? Are you surrounding yourself with growth, or are you making excuses to stay the same? It's easy to blame time. I'm too busy. But we all have the same 24 hours. The difference is how we use them. It's easy to blame people. No one supports me. But guess what? Some of the most successful people in the world started with zero support. They just made a decision that they weren't going to wait for approval. They were going to move, with or without applause. It's easy to blame circumstances. I don't have the money, I don't have the connections. But your problem isn't a lack of resources, it's a lack of resolve. Excuses are a mindset. And just like any mindset, they can be broken. The minute you decide to stop feeding the excuses is the minute you start feeding your future. Success doesn't come to the smartest, the most talented, or the most privileged. It comes to the one who refuses to quit, the one who shows up over and over, regardless of how they feel. That kind of consistency doesn't come from motivation, it comes from responsibility. And responsibility begins when excuses end. Understand this. The world doesn't owe you anything. It's not waiting to hand you your dream. You have to go out and build it, brick by brick, day by day, even when it's boring, even when you're tired, even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. Because growth lives on the other side of discomfort. And if you're not willing to push past your excuses, you'll never make it to that side. Some of you have been talking about your goals for years. You say you want change, but every time it gets hard, you default to the same old story. I'm not ready. I don't have time. I'll start Monday. Stop it. Kill the narrative. Rewrite the script. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the author of your life. But you can't write a new chapter if you keep rereading the old ones filled with excuses. When you take 100% responsibility for where you are, something powerful happens. You unlock the ability to change it. That's the moment real success begins. Not when you reach the goal, but when you stop making excuses and start making moves. That shift in mindset is where transformation starts. So from this moment forward, challenge every excuse that tries to show up. Interrupt it, replace it. Tell yourself, I'm done negotiating with my potential. You don't need perfect conditions. You need a decision. And when you finally stop waiting for the right time and start working with what you got, you realize the power was never in the excuse. It was always in you. Success doesn't begin with money. It doesn't begin with opportunity. It begins with ownership. And ownership begins the moment the excuses end. Success is not a destination, it's a decision. That might shake some people because we've been trained to see success as a finish line, as some far off place we hope to reach someday. But real success isn't a moment in time. It's not a car, a house, a title, or a certain number in your bank account. It's a daily choice. It's the decision to show up, to keep going, to push past comfort, even when no one is watching. Success isn't something you get to, it's something you live. And the people who win in life are the ones who decide they're going to be successful before the results show up. Most people are waiting to feel successful before they act successful. They're waiting for signs, for validation, for proof. But the truth is, the results don't come first. Decide who you are. Decide what you stand for. Decide what you're going to do and what you're willing to sacrifice. That's where the real power is. Because the moment you decide, the moment you fully commit, the universe starts to move. Doors begin to open. Not because magic happens, but because you start moving different. You start thinking different. You start acting with clarity and conviction. That's the power of a decision. See, indecision is one of the biggest killers of potential. People think they're waiting on timing or opportunity or some kind of signal, but what they're really doing is avoiding commitment. They're scared to go all in, scared of failure, scared of judgment, so they stay in this loop of maybe, someday, almost. And in that space, nothing grows. You cannot create anything great from indecision, because indecision leads to inconsistency, and inconsistency leads to regret. But when you decide, really decide, you cut off every other option. That's what the word decide means. It comes from the Latin root decidere, which means to cut off. You cut off the excuses. You cut off the backup plans. You cut off the comfort zone. And you say, this is who I am now. This is what I'm doing, no matter what. That kind of clarity is rare. And it's powerful because it gives you direction. And direction brings momentum. And momentum creates results. Let's get one thing straight. Success isn't for the chosen few. It's for the few who choose. The ones who decide that enough is enough. The ones who stop negotiating with their future. The ones who stop waiting for motivation and start moving with purpose. You don't stumble into greatness. You step into it. Intentionally, deliberately, and daily. Every time you decide to get up early when you could have slept in, that's success. Every time you decide to stay disciplined when nobody will blame you for slacking, that's success. Every time you choose growth over comfort, action over excuses, resilience over giving up, that's success. It's not about the big wins. It's about the consistent decisions made over and over that build your foundation. You don't need to wait for permission to step into your purpose. You don't need perfect timing or ideal conditions. You need a decision. Decide that you're done living below your potential. Decide that you're worthy of more. Decide that you're going to keep showing up even when it's hard, even when it's slow, even when no one claps. Because real success doesn't come from what you get. It comes from who you become in the process. And when you start living from that decision, when success becomes who you are, not just what you want, everything begins to align. Your actions align, your habits align, your circle starts to shift, your vision becomes sharper, and your results follow. Not because you're chasing success, but because you embody it, because you already decided deep in your soul that no matter what happens, you're not going back. So don't wait to arrive. Don't wait for the title. Don't wait for the bank account to reflect your value. Make the decision now. Live from it. Act like it's already done. Walk like you're already chosen. Because the truth is, success isn't a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And that choice is yours. Every day, every moment, right now.